Shalom. It's your brother Sadiq back out here with another lesson from the streets, right? Pretty noise out here. Again, this is your brother Sadiq, Michelle the Wisdom, back with another lesson from the streets. So today we're going to talk about dating other nationalities, marrying other nationalities, right? Um, I'm going to title this class, Can I Have a White Girl? Can I have a white girl? And in the broader scope, it's talking about these other nations as well. But typically, you know, how people always say, hey, what about the white man? In every sense of the whole like matter when it comes to the Bible. What about the white man? Can the white man make it into heaven? Can the white man do this? Can the white man do that? So, well, can I have a white woman, right? You know, again, this is talking about, can you deal with any nations? The answer is no. You can't deal with a white woman. You can't deal with an African woman. You can't deal with an Asian woman. You can't deal with nothing outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? Nothing outside of the 12 tribes of Israel can you deal with. So as always, I'm going to open up with the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17. And it reads, and whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Sham HaMashiach Yahushai. So everything we say and everything we do it all in the anointed Savior. So I've seen some brothers try to justify dealing with other nations by going to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. This is how they justify having a white woman, right? They say that this is only talking about the 7 Hamite nations. Well, we're going to look into this and we're going to go further to see if it's only just talking about the 7 Hamite nations that we can deal with, or can we not deal with other women such as Edomites, Ammonites, and Moabites, and the rest of them, right? So let's read this. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. Let's go to the book that most people try to justify dealing with white women. And it reads, when the Most High thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgasites, and the Ammonites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. So this, he'll say, see, brother, that shows that it's only talking about those 7 Hamitic nations. That's all it's talking about, right? Let's read on verse 2. And when the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Right. So they go here and they say, you got to use discretion. You shouldn't deal with these other nations like the white women and stuff like that. But they'll say there's no biblical proof saying that you can't deal with a white woman. There's no biblical proof saying that you can't deal with a Moabite woman or a Chinese woman, right? Well, we're going to further delve into this. So let's go to the book of First Ezra, chapter 8. And we're going to start at verse 69. First Ezra chapter 8 and verse 69. And there's going to be a lot of reading on this, but we have to get the total understanding of it, right? What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? All right. We have to get the total understanding of it. First Ezra chapter 8 and verse 69, right? And it reads, the nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have put, Salaki, let me read that again. The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land. So we see that our people, the priest is talking about right here, the Levites, right? Which is talking about pretty much all of us, all the 12 tribes of Israel. From Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Issachar, Naphtali, and Gad, I believe, right? My brain's doing a little everywhere right now, right? But the 12 tribes of Israel, right? It says, the nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, and the Moabites, Egyptians, and Edomites. So right here we can clearly see in this scripture that it lists the Moabites, the Chinese, and it clearly lists the Edomites, right? Let's read on. It says, for both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. So right here in the book of Ezra, right, we see that we are told that we cannot deal with the Edomite women. We cannot deal with the Edomite men. This is clear, cut, and concise and precise that this includes them as well. There's no way around this. It says, for both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity. Iniquity, meaning this sin, because we know that iniquity is sin. Verse 71. And as soon as I have heard these things, I rent my clothes. So you see this, as soon as Ezra heard these things, he tore off his clothes, he tore off his garments, and the holy garment, and pulled off the hair from off my head. Now that has, wait, let me read on, let me finish this. It says, and pulled off the hair from off my head and beard. So we see that Ezra, he was so infuriated about this that he ripped off the hair of his head and his beard. Now that got to hurt, having your beard being pulled on, right? If you have ever had a young child, you know how your child will grab your beard. You know, that's probably one reason why I start keeping it low now. It's you grab your beard and whatnot and start pulling it. That thing hurts. You know, getting your beard pulled. Imagine getting it pulled out and then you got, like, you know, your hair follicles are open and this blood is just leaking out of it, right? This is what Ezra did, and back then men was a lot stronger. You know, benching 400 or 500 pounds was a warm-up set for Ezra, right? Let's read on. It says, and sat me down, sad and very heavy. So he was sad about this thing. He was sad seeing his the men dealing with Edomite women, seeing the men dealing with Moabite women. The same way today, we be out here on the streets teaching, and it saddens my heart, my spirit, to see my brothers dealing with these foreign, strange women. It saddens my heart to see sisters dealing with these foreign and strange men. Let's read on. It says, so all they that were then moved at the word of the Most High of Israel assembled unto me, whilst I mourned for the iniquity. So he mourned for the iniquity. He mourned for the sin, because dealing with these other nations is a sin. Marrying these other nations is a sin. It says, but I sat still, full of heaviness, until the evening sacrifice. So he said he sat there full with a heavy heart, all the way until the evening, till the sunset. Let me read on. It says, then rising up from the fast with my clothes and the holy garment rent, and bowing my knees and stretching forth my hands unto the Most High, I said, O Most High, I am confounded and ashamed before thy face. So he says, I'm ashamed of this. I'm ashamed to even have to report this to you, what the children of Israel are doing. So it is a shame, a low down, dirty shame for an Israelite to be dealing with a strange man or a strange woman. Verse 75, for our sins are multiplied above our heads, and our ignorance have reached up unto heaven. So when you see what I call the jungle fever going on, this is a shame to the Most High. This is an ignorance that we have, not knowing. We can't justify this right here. You can't justify dealing with a foreign nation, right? You may come into this truth, and you may have already been married to let's say a white woman, right? Well, guess what? That is an unlawful marriage. So you can leave that woman. Let her go. Let that Chinese woman go. Let that Japanese woman go. Let that white woman go, because it's an unlawful marriage according to the scriptures. Let's read on. It says, for ever since the time of our fathers we have been and are in great sin, even unto this day. So the Bible tells that this is a great sin, even unto this day. Today, because we still see it today. We're going to see it. You know, I'm trying to see behind me if there's any mix of nations right now, but we're gonna have it later on today. You know, y'all join the live. You know, you're gonna see it. That's all that goes around. You know, black man, white woman, black woman, white man, Chinese man, Japanese man, whatever it may be. Right? Let's go to the book of First Esdras, one chapter over, chapter 9, and let's go to verse 7. And it reads, So Esdras arose up and said unto them, Ye have transgressed the law in marrying strange wives. He said this is a transgression, marrying strange wives. So when brothers say, you know, try to justify, you know, it's not in Deuteronomy chapter 7, well, guess what? It's in the book of First Esdras. That's a transgression of the law. It says, Ye have transgressed the law in marrying strange wives, thereby to increase the sins of Israel. This is this right here adds on to the sins of Israel. So if you are, let's say, into idolatry, well, marrying a strange woman, you're into idolatry as well, because you're going to follow the gods of her people, right? All behind the box. Whatever she says do, you're going to do it. You're going to follow behind it. You're going to be inside the kitchen eating that nasty chicken adobo because you're married to a Filipino woman, because that's what she decided to cook for the day, right? Are you going to be inside the kitchen eating some dim sum, right? Because the Chinese woman, she put it in front of your plate. You're going to be eating pig in a blanket because that's what she put in on your plate, right? And your children are going to be speaking Japanese and English and don't know no Hebrew at all. Your children are going to be speaking the language of the Vietnamese and not speak no Hebrew at all. They're going to be taking those family trips all the way to damn Thailand, right? To go sit inside of a rat-infested hut to be around Auntie Wayne, right? Uncle Chin, right? Let's read on. It says, And now by confessing, give glory unto the Most High power of our fathers. So you have to confess that you have sinned. Confess that you made a mistake in marrying these strange women and put her ass away because it's an unlawful marriage. It says, verse 9, And do his will and separate yourselves from the heathen of the land. You see that? It says separate, meaning put her butt away. Send her on the next trip back to the damn Thailand. Send her on the next trip back to Japan and revoke her damn green card. It says, from the heathen of the land and from the strange women. Verse 10, Then cried the whole multitude and said with a loud voice, Like as thou hast spoken, so will we do. Right? They made an agreement and said, spoken this, we're going to do it. We're going to get rid of these women. Right? And I wish this would happen. I really wish this can happen. I just asked the Most High that this happens one day at camp, right? When we see a brother and he hears these scriptures right here, and he was with a white woman, and he tells her, you know what? Find your own ride back home, right? They come from way across the country on their family vacation, right? And they come from Florida, coming out to California, right, with their children and stuff like that. And I just want to see a brother say, you know what? Take your butt back home. I'm taking the kids, you know, go marry whoever. I want to see that happen. You know, I pray to the Most High that day happens so we can stop being in transgression. Verse 11, But for as much as the people are many, and it is full weather, and it is foul weather, so that we cannot stand without. And this is not a work of a day or two. He said, this can't be done in one day, because there are so many mixed marriages. There's so much jungle fever going on that it just can't be done in a day. This is going to take years and years and years and years of work right here. It says, seeing our sin in these things is spread far, right? Because we do it everywhere. We don't just do it here in California. We do it in the Carolinas. We do it in New York. Everywhere you go, you're going to see that mixed family. Verse 12, it says, Therefore, let the rulers of the multitude stay, and let all them of our habitation that have strange wives come at the time appointed. He said, come at the time that, so they say, you know what, on the 6th month, the 29th day, y'all all going to report back here at the time appointed. It says, verse 13, And with them the rulers and judges of every place, till we turn away the wrath of the Most High from us for this matter. It says, schedule a divorce date, is what it's pretty much saying. Schedule a date when you can go and either write her a bill of divorce, or you go inside that courthouse, right, and get a divorce. That's what it's saying right here. Schedule at an appointed time. Verse 14. Then Jonathan, the son of Aziel, and Isaiah, the son of Thenaconis, accordingly took this matter upon them, and Mosolum, and Levis, and Sabbathus helped them. And they that were of the captivity did according to all these things. Verse 16. And Esdras the priest chose unto him the principal men of their families, all by name. And in the first day of the 10th month, they sat together to examine the matter. They said, man, how much is this stuff really going on in Israel? How much interracial marriage is going on in Israel? How much of this plague is going amongst the Israel? Because it is a plague. It is a disease. To have an affinity towards another nation is a disease. Just like HIV is a disease, right? Just like catching STD, that's a disease, right? It's a disease. Dealing with other nationalities, marrying them is a disease. And we're going to show that. We're going to prove that. We're going to prove that's a plague. It's a plague, just like catching the C virus, right? Let's read on verse 17. So their cause that held strange wives was brought to an end in the first day of the first month. And of the priests that were come together and had strange wives, there were found of the sons of, and it says Jesus, but we know that translation would be Yahushai, because that was a common name, or Joshua, how they say in the Yahshua, how they say in the Yiddish, right, the modern Hebrew, the son of Yosedek and his brethren, Mattathias and Eleazar and Jeribus and Yadanis, and they gave their hands to put away their wives and to offer rams to make reconcilement for their errors. So you see, they gave a sacrifice, right? They said, you know what, we really messed up. We really messed up thinking that this woman from Cambodia is something exotic. We really messed up thinking that we got some type of Amazonian woman by dealing with this lady from Papua New Guinea, right? We don't got nothing here. You really think you got something by dealing with some African, right? Some Hamite African. You don't got nothing there, right? You don't have nothing there. You have to get rid of Miss Fufu. If you are dealing with Miss Fufu, you have to get rid of her. You got to let her go. You got to get rid of those the Sudanese women. You got to get rid of the Eritrean women. You got to get rid of the Ethiopian women. You can't deal with them. You can't eat the injera. None of that. Let's read on. Verse 21. And of the sons of Emer, Ananias, and Zebedis, and Enos, and Samidus, and Hiri, and Azarias, and the sons of Phisor, Elianos. Now this is going to be a lot of names right here. Messias, Ishmael, and Nathaniel, and Osadis, and Talsis, and of the Levites, Jozabadad, and Simas, and Colis, who was called Calipus, and Pethius, and Judas, and Jonas. Listen, this is a whole list of people, and it's going to go on. It says, of the holy singers, Eleazarus, Bacchus, and we know those the R&B singers, they love dealing with them white women, right? We got singers back here. We had the R&B singers of Israel dealing in the ancient world, dealing with them white women. It says, of the porters, Salas, and Talbinis, of them of Israel, of the sons of Porus, and Himris, and Idias, and Milicus, and Malasis, and Eleazar, and Asibis, and Benias, of the sons of Elah, and Mattathias, and Zacharias, and Hilaris, and Hirismith, and Adis, and of the sons of Zama, Eladus, and Elamis, and Othinus, and Jermoth, and Sabbathus, and Sardius, of the sons of Belabus, Jonas, and Ananias, and Johazbus, and Amadus, of the sons of Mani, Alamis, and Machis, and Jedis, and Jabus, and Josel, and Hermas. Now this goes on all the way from verse 31 to all the way to verse 36, right, of just names. And you can read these names for yourself of all these people, right? But I'm going to jump down to verse 36, right? So if you want to know all the names of the people, because there's a lot of names up here. From we're in 1 Ezra chapter 9, verse 21 all the way to verse 35 is all the sons that was dealing with these women, right? So verse 36, it says, I'm picking up at 36. First Esdras 9 and 36. All these had taken strange wives, and they put them away with their children. So we see that these brothers could do this. They put away these weird, strange women, put them far away. It says all these had strange wives, and they put them away with their children, even let them keep the woman. Probably because, you know, they already grew up in the traditions and their ways, right? So let's look at today. You got your child, your strange wife, got your child celebrating, let's say, St. Patty's Day. You got your Irish woman, right? Your child is celebrating your black Israelite child, right? Is celebrating St. Patty's Day, and so that strong Israelite man is like, you know what? Take that child, and y'all go elsewhere, because the child is already contaminated. He will lose his mind if we don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day next year. That's probably what was going on here. They said these children right here are already celebrating Easter and Easter and all these other things, whatever the idols these other women deal with, these other nations deal with. They're already doing this. So go ahead and take the child. I'll start a whole new family, because we know that men, we can have children forever. You know, look at what's his name, Robert De Niro. I believe that man is like 80 years old, and he just had a newborn baby, right? A two-year-old he may have now, right? So we can have children men can have children until on your deathbed. You can be in your deathbed and have a child, right? Verse 37. And the priests and Levites and they that were of Israel dwelt in Jerusalem and in the country in the first day of the 7th month. So the children of Israel were in their habitation, and the whole multitude came together with one accord. So we can't have no division. How was no division here? We have to have no division now. We have to come together on one accord. And that's for everything, not in just dealing with strange women, but also saying things like amen, saying things like Lord. We have to come together on one accord and have no division amongst us, as it says in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 10, I believe. It says, into the broad place of the holy porch toward the east. And they spake unto Esdras the priest and reader, that we would bring the law of Moses that was given of the Most High of Israel. So Esdras, the chief priest, brought the law unto the whole multitude, from man to woman, and to all the priests, to hear the law in the first day of the 7th month. And he read in the broad court before the holy porch from morning until midday. That's what we do right now on these streets right now. We have a teacher, we have a reader, we have the audience, and we bring out this thing all the way from you can't see morning to can't see night, right? It says, and he read in the broad court before the holy porch. In Hollywood, this is the broad court. This place it's never a dull moment here in Hollywood. There's never a dull moment here in Hollywood. It says, and he read in the broad court before the holy porch from morning until midday, before both men and women, and all the multitude gave heed unto the law. And I pray to the Most High that this happens, that the Israelites, they give heed to this law right here, because I'm tired. We should be tired of living in this captivity right here. Verse 42. And Esdras the priest and reader of the law stood up upon a pulpit of wood, which was made for that purpose, and there stood up by him, this is street teaching right here, Mattathias and Samus and Ananias and Azarias and Urias and Izachus and Belcom on the right hand. It's also going to be found in the book of Nehemiah chapter 8. It says, and upon his left hand stood Phaldias and Mishael and Melchias and Losabas and Nabarias. Then took Esdras the book of the law before the multitude, for he sat honorably in the first place in the sight of them all. And when he opened the law, they stood all straight up. So Esdras blessed the Most High, the power of hosts almighty, and all it says, and all the people answered, and lifting up their hands, they fell to the ground and worshiped the Most High. And I pray for that day to happen, right? So we got right there, that's some definitive proof that it is unlawful to deal with a white woman. So can you date a white girl? No. Let's go to the book of 1 Kings real quick. Can you marry a white woman? No. Can you date a white woman? No. Can you give your children to them? No. So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. And let's see. 1 Kings chapter 11 and let's start at verse 3. It says, 1 Kings 11 and 3. And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Now, this is talking about King Solomon. The 700 wives, he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. The 700 wives were Israelites. 300 concubines were these foreign and strange nations. These are the ones that turned him away, that turned King Solomon's heart away. Verse 4, it says, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart, or his mind, after other gods, right? Because that's how it is. You can grow up down south, grow up in the church down south, be in the Baptist and everything, and then you go off to join the military somewhere. You get shipped to, let's say, Okinawa, Japan somewhere, right? And then next thing you know, you marry some Japanese woman from the Big Island, right? And now the next thing you know, you are bowing down and blessing an idol, right? You are bowing down and you're doing you're setting weird things in front of your house as sacrifices to that idol. You're doing these things, but you grew up as a country boy from Georgia. Now you way off in a foreign country somewhere and you're dealing with these strange women. That's what happened to King Solomon, right? It says, for it came to pass, verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Most High, his power, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Salaki, forgive me, Most High, for saying these idols, right? Verse 6, it says, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Most High, because it's an evil thing to be bowing down to Ashtoreth. That's an evil thing to do. It is an evil thing to be bowing down to Milcom. That's an evil and wicked thing to do. And that's what King Solomon did. It says, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Most High, and went not fully after the Most High. So he was half and half. He became a double-minded man, right? And so he was unstable. Let's read on. It says, as did David his father. Verse 7. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab. He built a shrinery to this Moabite, to this Chinese deity. It says, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, another idol. It says, an abomination of the children of Ammon. That's the Japanese. It says, and likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. They did these sacrifices unto their gods, burning strange incense to them, right? Let's go to the book of Numbers. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 25. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 25. And let's go to verse 1. It says, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. You see this? So here we go again. We got Israelite men dealing with these Moabite women. Verse 2, and they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bow down to their gods. This is Israelite men doing this thing right here, right? And we read that Moab is not listed in Deuteronomy 7:1, but it's listed right here in Numbers 25. It's listed in First Esdras chapter 8, verse 69 on down. We read about these other women. So no, you cannot deal with these strange women. No, you cannot have a white girl. It says, and the people did eat and bow down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baalpeor. You see that? That's what our people be doing, right? They joined themselves into this. It says, and the anger of the Most High was kindled against Israel. And the Most High said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before the Most High against the sun. And the fierce anger of the Most High may be turned away from Israel. So it said, hang these people up. Verse 5, and Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baalpeor. And we're spelling this out because it mentions inside of the in Exodus 23 that we're not supposed to make mention. We're supposed to be circumspect in all things. I'm roughly paraphrasing it, right? But we can't make mention of these other names of these other gods because that's a law right there, right? That's why we don't say words like Lord because it means Baal. Can't gainsay on that. We don't say Amen. That's the last name of Zeus. That's literally his last name. That's the man's last name. Verse 6, it says, and behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought into his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses. So after all this stuff happened, right, all these Israelite men got hung up, right, for dealing with these Moabite women. Here comes a silly, goofy Israelite. He comes in the face and appearance of Moses with a Midianitish woman. Let's see what happened. It says, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. He got the spirit on him. Verse 8, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So he stabbed her through her belly. And who knows, she could have been pregnant, right? She could have been pregnant. He said he stabbed them both. One spear went through two different people. It says, so the plague. So dealing with a white woman is a plague. Having jungle fever is a plague, like HIV is, right? Like STD is. It's the same thing. Because that taste of white women, it gets inside your bloodstream and whatnot, and next thing you know, you have a whole harem of white women in your on your damn Facebook, and you just scrolling which blondie I'm going to slay next. You got a whole harem of Chinese women, and you just scrolling which Chinese women I'm going to slay next, right? Let's read on. It says, so the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. Verse 9, and those that died in the plague, you see that? Those that died from jungle fever, that were killed, slaughtered from jungle fever, were 24,000. And so, in conclusion, can you have a white woman? The answer is emphatically no. Leave them alone. And with that, I want to say shalom.